really unfortunate, but we made amends, and I'm all about redemption and forgiveness.
What if I told you country music isn't all love songs and cowboy hats? Behind the bright lights and chart-topping hits, the genre has seen fiery fights, stinging insults, and rivalries that stunned fans. Some of the biggest names have clashed like never before, from heated interviews to shocking moments on award show stages. Today, we're breaking down 20 of the nastiest feuds that ripped through country music history. Number 1, Steve Earle versus Shania Twain. Country music has faced plenty of criticism over the years, but few words caused as much stir as Steve Earle's sharp remarks about Shania Twain. Earle, a strong supporter of traditional country, had little patience for the polished Nashville sound that was booming in the 90s. He openly condemned what he saw as the genre becoming too commercial. And at the center of his criticism was Shania Twain, who was rapidly rising to become one of country music's biggest stars. Earle once called Garth Brooks the anti-Hank, but it was his comment about Twain that stuck. He described her as America's highest-paid lap dancer, a jab meant to suggest that her fame was built more on image than talent. Country Weekly even reported that in 2001, Earle had a poster of Twain outside his office with the word talent written on it, pointing not at her voice, but at her belly button. Shania, however, was unfazed. She knew the criticism was out there, but it never slowed her down. Instead, she kept her focus on her music and her fans. And her results speak louder than any insult ever could. With 5 Grammy Awards, 27 BMI Songwriter Honors, and over 85 million albums sold, Twain became the highest-selling female artist in country music history. She's also been honored with stars on both Canada's Walk of Fame and the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. So while Steve Earle's words remain some of the harshest ever spoken in Nashville, Shania Twain's success proves that talent and resilience always rise above criticism. Number 2, Charlie Rich and John Denver. On October 13, 1975, the Country Music Association Awards witnessed one of its most shocking moments. The previous year's Entertainer of the Year, Charlie Rich, walked on stage at the Grand Ole Opry to announce who would win the same honor that night. As he opened the envelope, instead of just reading the name, Rich pulled out a lighter and set the card on fire. With the paper burning in his hand, he calmly said, "My friend, Mr. John Denver." Denver wasn't even in the room. He was accepting via satellite and gave a kind, humble speech, never realizing what had just happened. But the live audience was stunned. Many believed Rich was making a bold protest. At the time, country music was changing, with pop-influenced artists like John Denver and even Olivia Newton-John moving into the scene. Purists felt this was watering down traditional country, and burning the envelope seemed like Rich's way of saying enough was enough. But years later, another version of the story came out. Charlie Rich Jr., his son, explained that his father had been on prescription pain medication mixed with alcohol that night. No matter the reason, the fallout was huge. The CMA banned Rich from future shows, and his career never fully recovered in terms of awards, even though he had many hits like Behind Closed Doors and The Most Beautiful Girl. John Denver, for his part, stayed gracious when he learned what happened. He never showed anger toward Rich, but the incident remains one of country music's most unforgettable award shows. Number 3, Waylon Jennings versus Garth Brooks. Country music has always had its clashes, but few were as striking as the feud between Waylon Jennings and Garth Brooks. At its core, this was more than two men. It was a battle over what country music should be. Waylon Jennings, a founder of outlaw country, stood for grit, honesty, and rebellion. His music carried the spirit of a tough, no-nonsense cowboy. Garth Brooks, on the other hand, rose to fame in the 1990s with a polished, pop-influenced sound. He filled arenas with massive shows and catchy songs that crossed over into mainstream success. To Jennings, this wasn't country, it was commercial glitter. In interviews, Jennings didn't hold back. In 1994, he told The Inquirer, "I think he's the luckiest SOB in the world. He's gotten more out of nothing than anybody I can think of." He even called Brooks the most insincere person I've ever seen, and predicted his fame wouldn't last. To Jennings, Brooks cared more about money and fame than the raw heart of country music. Brooks, meanwhile, was stunned. He admitted he had never even met Jennings and couldn't understand the hostility. Instead of firing back, he stayed respectful. "Yeah, I was definitely the guy he targeted," Brooks once said, adding that it was probably just about the changing of the guard in Nashville. He ended with grace. The guy's a legend and deserves nothing but respect. That simple, polite response may have frustrated Jennings even more, but it also showed Brooks's character. Jennings represented the outlaw past, while Brooks embodied a new commercial future. Even today, as country music keeps evolving, the question remains, would Waylon Jennings approve, or would he be shaking his head all over again? Number 4. Hank Williams Jr. versus ESPN. In the 90s and 2000s, nothing was more exciting than hearing Hank Williams Jr.'s voice every Monday night. His famous line, "Are you ready for some football?" and the anthem, "All my rowdy friends are here on Monday night," became a tradition. From 1989 until 2011, Hank kicked off Monday Night Football, even winning 4 Emmy Awards for the song. But in 2011, everything changed. During an interview on Fox and Friends, Hank was asked about politics. He gave a fiery answer that shocked many. He compared then-President Barack Obama playing golf with Speaker John Boehner to Hitler playing golf with Netanyahu. He went on to call Obama, Biden, and their allies the Three Stooges. Those comments quickly caused controversy. ESPN moved fast and dropped Hank's song from their football broadcasts. For 6 years, fans no longer heard that famous anthem on game nights. Then, in 2017, Hank Jr. made a comeback. ESPN brought him back to sing the intro again, and fans were thrilled. But it didn't last. By 2020, as the country faced political tension and NFL games had smaller crowds due to the pandemic, ESPN felt Hank's rowdy party anthem no longer fit the mood. Once again, the network cut ties with him. Both sides told different stories. ESPN said it was their choice to part ways, while Hank Jr. claimed he pulled the song in protest, saying they had stepped on his freedom of speech. "Me, my song, and all my rowdy friends are out of here," he declared on his website. In the end, Hank Williams Jr. left a lasting mark. Whether fans agreed with him or not, his voice will forever be tied to Monday Night Football history. Number 5. Eric Church and reality TV music shows. In 2012, country star Eric Church made headlines when he blasted reality singing shows like The Voice and American Idol. In a Rolling Stone interview, he questioned the idea that an artist could be discovered just because judges turned their chairs. "If Blake Shelton and CeeLo Green turn around in a red chair, you got a deal? That's crazy," he said. Church went further, saying he'd never sit on a panel for such shows. For him, music was about the art, not television drama or shortcuts. "Once your career becomes about something other than music, that's what it is," he explained. "I'd rather starve than make that mistake." But his words struck a nerve. Miranda Lambert, a respected country singer who had toured with him and happened to be married to Blake Shelton, quickly fired back on Twitter. "Thanks Eric Church for saying I'm not a real artist," she wrote, pointing out her own start on the reality show Nashville Star. Shelton himself also responded, tweeting that he wished he had misunderstood Church's comments. The backlash was intense, and Church soon realized his remarks sounded harsher than he intended. He issued a statement clarifying that his criticism was aimed at the shows, not the singers. He explained that reality TV often creates the illusion of overnight success, while real challenges begin after the cameras stop rolling. Church stressed that he had deep respect for artists like Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson, and Miranda Lambert, all of whom built long careers after their reality show debuts. He ended with an apology, saying he never meant to tear anyone down, but only to highlight the dangers of chasing fame through shortcuts. Number 6. Loretta Lynn and Tammy Wynette. In the late 60s, two queens of country music stood on opposite sides of a cultural divide that would shape the future of the genre. Tammy Wynette, crowned the First Lady of country music, was elegant and polished. She sparkled in rhinestones and diamonds, her sound crafted by producer Billy Sherrill into lush, string-filled ballads. She often sang about loyalty and endurance, urging women to stand by their men no matter the hardships. Loretta Lynn, on the other hand, stayed true to her working-class roots. Wearing gingham dresses and pearls, she sang about real struggles, birth control, double standards, and the daily fight of women in small towns. With her husband Du Lynn guiding her career and Owen Bradley producing, Loretta's sound was raw and emotional, capturing the grit of life. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. At the 1973 CMA Awards, Tammy performed with a 30-piece orchestra, her voice floating above rich strings. Loretta followed with just her band, belting out Coal Miner's Daughter with unfiltered honesty. Both performances brought the house down, proving there was room for two very different visions of womanhood in country music. Behind the spotlight, both women made big strides for female artists. Tammy demanded control over her promotional photos, setting new standards for image rights. Loretta fought for song selection, winning creative authority. These victories paved the way for future generations of women in Nashville. In the end, their rivalry wasn't destructive, it was groundbreaking. By challenging each other, Loretta Lynn and Tammy Wynette redefined what women could be in country music, leaving a legacy that still echoes today. Number 7. Zac Brown versus Luke Bryan. In 2013, the country music world watched a surprising feud unfold between two big stars, Zac Brown and Luke Bryan. It all began when Zac Brown gave a radio interview in Vancouver. In that interview, he spoke openly about Luke Bryan's hit song, "That's My Kind of Night." Brown didn't hold back. He said, "I love Luke Bryan. He's had some great songs, but this new one is the worst song I've ever heard." The comments spread like wildfire online. Fans argued and artists picked sides. Jason Aldean, one of Luke's closest friends, jumped in to defend him, saying the song was a hit because the fans loved it. The debate wasn't just about one song anymore, it was about what direction country music was heading in. Zac Brown later clarified that his issue wasn't with Luke personally, but with the song itself. He felt country music deserved deeper lyrics and stronger storytelling. Still, the words stung. One of the songwriters even admitted it hurt to hear such sharp criticism from a fellow artist. As the CMA Awards approached that November, the tension was still hanging in the air. Everyone wondered, would the feud spill onto the country's biggest stage? Instead, something unexpected happened. During the opening monologue, hosts Carrie Underwood and Brad Paisley joked about the feud, even singing, "Why Can't We Be Friends?" That playful moment set the stage for peace. Then, in front of the entire audience, Luke Bryan stood up, ran across the arena, and gave Zac Brown a big hug and even a kiss on the cheek. The crowd burst into laughter and applause. Just like that, the feud ended. What started as harsh words turned into a reminder that even in disagreements, respect and friendship can win. Number 8. Travis Tritt versus Billy Ray Cyrus. In the early 1990s, country music saw one of its most talked about feuds, sparked by a single song, Billy Ray Cyrus's breakout hit, "Achy Breaky Heart." In 1992, when the song was everywhere, Travis Tritt made headlines by saying it was frivolous and looked more like a wiggling contest than real country music. His blunt words didn't sit well with Cyrus. The tension built until January 1993, when Billy Ray accepted the American Music Award for Favorite Country Single. Standing at the podium, he fired back with a line fans will never forget. "To those people who don't like Achy Breaky Heart, here's a quarter call someone who cares." The crowd erupted, recognizing it as a direct jab at Tritt's own hit song, "Here's a Quarter." Tritt later admitted he had gone too far. In his 1994 book, 10 Feet Tall and Bulletproof, he explained that his comments were blown out of proportion and that he never meant them to be personal. Still, he learned a tough lesson. In country music, openly criticizing another artist can backfire quickly. Years later, the feud softened. In 2002, the two men even shared the stage at a memorial for Waylon Jennings, showing that time had healed the wounds. Ironically, by 2004, Tritt released his own video for The Girls Gone Wild, which featured plenty of the same dance-driven energy he once criticized. Number 9. Eric Church versus Rascal Flatts. Back in 2006, Eric Church was still a rising name in country music. Fresh off his debut album, Sinners Like Me, he landed a huge opportunity, an opening slot on Rascal Flatts' Me and My Gang tour. But instead of being his big break, it turned into one of the most talked about clashes in modern country music. The problem was simple. Eric Church loved to push the limits. Night after night, he played louder than expected and stretched his set way past the time allowed. Rascal Flatts tried to be patient. They warned him several times, even offered to let him start earlier, and gave him extra minutes so he could fit in more songs. But Church kept doing things his way. The breaking point came at Madison Square Garden. There, Church played a full 20 minutes over his slot. For Rascal Flatts, that meant thousands of dollars in fines, and it was the last straw. He was fired from the tour after just a handful of shows. The replacement? A young newcomer named Taylor Swift. That tour launched her career, and later, as a playful thank you, she sent Church a gold record of her debut album with a note that read, "Thanks for playing too long and too loud. I sincerely appreciate it." As for Church, he wasn't crushed. Instead, he hit the road on his own Me and Myself tour. playing in rock clubs in the same cities and even starting his shows when Rascal Flatts finished theirs. At the time, it looked like a risky move, but it built his reputation as a rebel who wouldn't play by the rules. Today, there's no bad blood. Rascal Flatts have said they've been friends with Church for years, and what once looked like career-ending drama is now one of country music's favorite stories. Number 10. Maren Morris versus Brittany Aldean. In 2022, a storm hit the country music world on social media. It all started when Brittany Aldean, wife of country star Jason Aldean, posted a makeup tutorial on Instagram. In her caption, she thanked her parents for not changing her gender during what she called her tomboy phase. Many saw the remark as transphobic. Fellow country singer Cassidy Pope quickly spoke out, calling the comment harmful. Brittany doubled down by sharing Pope's response to her own story, which only fueled the fire. That's when Maren Morris stepped in. Known for being outspoken, Morris called Aldean's words transphobic as well, sparking a heated back and forth online. The feud soon grew beyond Instagram. Brittany went on Tucker Carlson Tonight to defend her comments, where the host mocked Morris by calling her a lunatic country music person. Instead of backing down, Morris flipped the insult into a statement. She launched t-shirts with the phrase lunatic country music person boldly printed across them, donating the proceeds to LGBTQ+ charities like GLAAD and Trans Lifeline. The shirts sold quickly, turning the feud into a fundraiser for a cause Morris strongly supported. Brittany Aldean, however, stood firm. She argued her comment wasn't about hate, but about believing children shouldn't make irreversible decisions about gender identity too young. She insisted her words were misunderstood. The direct exchanges eventually slowed, but the division remained. For many fans and artists, the clash exposed a deeper split within country music, one side pushing for inclusion and support for LGBTQ+ voices, and the other standing by more conservative views. Number 11's Carrie Underwood versus Jessica Simpson. In the late 2000s, country sweetheart Carrie Underwood and pop princess Jessica Simpson found themselves at the center of a tabloid firestorm. But was it a real feud, or just media drama spun out of control? Carrie was fresh off her American Idol win, dominating country and pop charts with massive hits like Jesus Take the Wheel and Before He Cheats. Jessica, already a household name in pop, was stepping into country music in 2007. Their paths crossed because of Dallas Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo. Romo dated Carrie in 2007, but by the next year, he was with Jessica. Things heated up when Carrie told Allure magazine that Romo still called her now and then. That comment lit the spark. Jessica brushed it off with a laugh, but rumors swirled that she was furious. Then came the t-shirt. Jessica was spotted in one that read, "Real girls eat meat." Fans instantly thought it was a jab at Carrie, a proud vegetarian. Jessica later claimed it was a joke, but the damage was done. While both stars downplayed the drama, the tabloids ran wild. Number 12, Chet Atkins versus Waylon Jennings. Chet Atkins was the king of Nashville in the 60s. As a top producer at RCA Records, he built the Nashville sound, smooth, polished, and radio-friendly. So when he signed Waylon Jennings in 1966, it looked like a dream partnership. Jennings had the voice, the swagger, and the talent to become a star. But there was one problem. Waylon wasn't built to play by Nashville's rules. Atkins and RCA wanted control. They wanted slick arrangements, studio musicians, and songs that fit the formula. Waylon wanted grit, freedom, and the right to play with his own band. The clash soon turned explosive. While working under producer Danny Davis, Waylon was pushed into sounds he hated. Finally, he'd had enough. He pulled out a pistol, set it on the studio console, and said nothing. He refused to be bullied into making fake music. That moment symbolized everything Waylon stood for. Atkins represented the system. Waylon represented the outlaw spirit. Their battle lit the fire that became the outlaw movement of the 70s, forever changing country music. It was control versus freedom, Nashville polish against outlaw grit, and Waylon Jennings refused to back down. Number 13, Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner. Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner shared one of the most famous and complicated partnerships in country music history. Dolly joined the Porter Wagoner Show in 1967. Together, they became a powerhouse duo, recording duets and charming audiences across the country. But by 1974, Dolly felt the call to go her own way. She dreamed of building a solo career, and that decision created serious tension between her and Wagoner. To say goodbye, Dolly wrote one of her most iconic songs, "I Will Always Love You." When she sang it for Porter, he was so moved that he agreed to let her leave on one condition: that he could produce the record. The song became a classic, later covered by Whitney Houston, and it forever tied their names together. But the split wasn't easy. In 1979, Wagoner sued Dolly for breach of contract, demanding millions and claiming he deserved a share of her lifelong earnings. Wanting peace, Dolly settled the case out of court for around $1 million. Despite the bitterness, she never spoke harshly of him. In her own words, "I can never take the credit away from Porter for giving me a big break. I learned a lot from him." Eventually, the two found their way back to friendship. They even recorded a reunion album in 1980, and Dolly stood by him until his passing in 2007, performing at his memorial concert at Dollywood. Number 14, Taylor Swift versus Katy Perry. It all started in 2014. Taylor believed Katy tried to sabotage her by hiring away backup dancers from her Red Tour right as Taylor was preparing for her next big run. To Taylor, it felt like betrayal. Soon after, she told Rolling Stone that another female artist had done something so horrible, it made them straight-up enemies. She never said Katy's name, but fans connected the dots. The drama only grew when Taylor released Bad Blood, a fiery anthem that everyone assumed was aimed at Perry. Katy fired back with her own track Swish Swish, a not-so-subtle clapback. For years, they traded shade through songs, interviews, and award shows. But in 2018, Katy sent Taylor a literal olive branch and a heartfelt note. She later apologized publicly, saying she wanted peace. The final reconciliation came in 2019, when Perry appeared in Taylor's "You Need to Calm Down" video. Dressed as a burger, hugging Taylor as fries, the message was clear: the feud was done. From enemies to allies, their story became less about rivalry and more about forgiveness. Number 15, Jason Aldean and Eric Church. Jason Aldean and Eric Church are often grouped as outlaws, but in 2022, their names crossed in headlines when Eric Church made a controversial decision. That March, Church canceled a sold-out concert so he could attend the NCAA Final Four basketball game. For fans who had been waiting months, it was a shock. Many felt betrayed, and the backlash was fierce. Jason Aldean was asked about the move. His response was honest but measured. He said that as an artist, you make a commitment to fans and you need to hold up your end of the deal. At the same time, Aldean admitted he personally wouldn't have been able to pull off something like that. His comments weren't an attack, more of a reminder about responsibility. Some people thought this meant a feud was brewing, but Aldean and Church have long respected each other. Both built reputations as rebels in the country scene, guys who weren't afraid to challenge the system. Aldean has even referred to Church as a mentor. Their connection goes back years. In 2012, Church stirred controversy when he criticized mainstream artists for being product pushers. Many thought it was a jab at Aldean and others. Aldean fired back, pointing out Church's own endorsements and calling out what he saw as hypocrisy. It sparked headlines and even a Twitter spat, but neither man walked away with lasting bitterness. In fact, the drama only boosted their visibility. Streams went up, fans debated, and both artists carried on with their careers stronger than ever. So while the internet may call it a feud, Jason Aldean and Eric Church remain friends, outlaws who respect each other, even when they don't agree. Number 16, Blake Shelton versus Ray Price. In 2013, country fans saw a feud no one expected between Blake Shelton, one of the biggest stars of modern country, and Ray Price, a living legend of the genre. It all started when Shelton, during a TV taping, said country music had to evolve. But then he went too far, calling traditional country for old farts and jackasses. The comment hit a nerve. Classic country fans were furious, and Ray Price wasn't about to stay quiet. Price fired back, calling Shelton arrogant and reminding him that the very music he mocked was the foundation of country. Coming from an icon like Price, the criticism carried weight. For a moment, it felt like a generational war. But Shelton quickly realized his mistake. He apologized, not just to Price, but to all the legends who came before him. He admitted his words were poorly chosen and showed respect to the pioneers who built country music. Then came the turning point. Ray Price invited Shelton to one of his shows in Oklahoma. On stage, the two stood together as Price introduced Shelton warmly. What began as harsh words ended as a handshake across generations, a lesson in respect, humility, and reconciliation. Number 17, John Mayer and Taylor Swift. In late 2009, Taylor Swift and John Mayer sparked one of the most talked about romances in music. Taylor was just 19, Mayer was 32. That 13-year age gap and their very different lives quickly made their relationship both fascinating and fragile. It started with music. Mayer invited Taylor to sing on his track Half of My Heart. Rumors turned into reality when the two were spotted together off stage. For a moment, it looked like a fairy tale. But behind the scenes, their worlds clashed. Mayer was already infamous for his bold, messy public life, while Taylor was still learning to navigate young stardom. By 2010, the relationship was over, but Taylor wasn't done telling her story. On her Speak Now album, she dropped Dear John, a raw ballad about heartbreak, betrayal, and the painful age gap. Fans knew instantly who it was about. Mayer fired back, calling the song cheap songwriting and later releasing Paper Doll, which many saw as his answer to Taylor's accusations. Years later, in 2022, Taylor revisited the heartbreak in Would've, Could've, Should've, proving the wounds ran deep. It may have been short-lived, but their relationship left a lasting scar on music. Number 18, Natalie Maines versus Toby Keith. In the early 2000s, one of country music's fiercest feuds erupted between Natalie Maines of the Dixie Chicks and Toby Keith. It started when Keith released his fiery anthem courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, written after 9/11 and his father's death. Many praised it, but Maines wasn't having it. She blasted the song as ignorant, saying it made country music look bad. Then in 2003, the Chicks told a London crowd they were ashamed President George W. Bush was from Texas. That statement, paired with her harsh words about Keith, turned sparks into flames. Keith fired back hard, projecting a fake photo of Maines with Saddam Hussein during his concerts. Maines clapped back at the Academy of Country Music Awards, wearing a shirt that read FUTK. The feud raged until Keith, shaken by the death of a bandmate's child, called it quits. Both stars carried on, but this clash proved how songs can ignite wars beyond the music. Number 19, Kristen Hall versus Sugarland. Kristen Hall, a founding member of Sugarland, shocked fans in 2008 when she sued her former bandmates Jennifer Nettles and Christian Bush. Hall claimed she had an equal profit-sharing deal even after leaving the group in 2005, insisting she helped bankroll their debut album with her own money and acted as manager during their early rise. She sought $14 million in profits she said were rightfully hers. Nettles and Bush fired back, saying no such agreement existed and accusing Hall of leaving them saddled with over $100,000 in debt. The high-profile case headed toward trial, but in November 2010, it ended quietly with a private settlement. The terms were never revealed, leaving fans to wonder just how much was at stake. Number 20, Tim McGraw and Curb Records. Tim McGraw's battle with Curb Records rocked country music for years. Starting in 2011, McGraw sued, claiming the label kept him in involuntary servitude, deliberately delaying his album releases and using multiple greatest hits compilations to extend his contract. Curb fired back, accusing him of breaching the deal by delivering emotional traffic early. The courtroom saga stretched over 2 years, with appeals and counter-appeals, but McGraw emerged victorious. By 2013, a judge dismissed Curb's final claims, freeing him to sign with Big Machine Records. That move led to 2 lanes of freedom and a triumphant return, ending one of the longest and nastiest legal feuds in country music history. Which of these feuds shocked you the most? Let us know in the comment section below.